Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call this meeting of the Council for the Town of Petawawa to order for June 2nd, 2025. Welcome to members of Council, staff, and to the good friend of the Town of Petawawa, Henry Coutu, who's live with us here in the studio audience. We'll begin tonight's meeting with the reading of the land acknowledgement, and this evening it's Councillor Coutu.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As we gather this evening, I would like to acknowledge on behalf of the Petawawa Town Council and our community that we are meeting on the traditional territory of the Omamawinini Algonquin people. We would like to thank the Omamawinini people and express our respect and support for their rich history, and we are extremely grateful for their many and continued displays of friendship. We also thank all the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years, and we wish to acknowledge our shared responsibilities in responding to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission 94 calls to action. Call to action number 56. We call upon the Prime Minister of Canada to formally respond to the report of the National Council for Reconciliation by issuing an annual State of Aboriginal Peoples report, which would outline the government's plans for advancing the cause of reconciliation. Recent progress. The Transitional Committee and the Minister of Crown, Indigenous Relations and Northern Affairs will jointly select the Council's first board. The Council's first board will be selected soon and will be incorporated as an independent not-for-profit organization. The Prime Minister of Canada will respond to the National Council's annual report by publishing an annual report on the state of Indigenous peoples. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Coutu. And now I'd ask if all those in attendance would please stand for a moment of silent reflection. Thank you very much. Okay, just before we get to the approval of the agenda, just a note for all the members of the public watching. Beginning next week, the Council for the Town of Petawawa will be moving locations due to some renovations here at Town Hall. We will be moving to Silver Threads just down the street on Victoria Street for the month of June and the month of July. Those meetings will be open to members of the public. So you are all welcome to come. Just make sure you're going to Silver Threads for the next 2 months instead of Town Council. Okay, I need an approval of tonight's agenda. Moved by Councillor Roots, seconded by Councillor Donovan, that the agenda for the June 2nd, 2025 regular meeting of Council be adopted as presented. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest on any of this evening's matters? All right. We'll go right into approval of minutes for the council meeting of May 20th, 2025. I need a motion to approve those minutes. Moved by Deputy Mayor Sabrin, seconded by Councillor Carmody, that the minutes of the regular meeting of council held May 20th, 2025 be approved as printed and circulated. Any comments, concerns with the minutes? I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. No presentation, so we're going to jump right into bylaws. First up, we have bylaw 1759/25, being a bylaw to establish the rates of taxation and charges for waste management services for the year 2025. I need a motion for a first and second reading of the bylaw. Moved by Councillor Carmody, seconded by Councillor Roots, that bylaw 1759/25, being a bylaw to establish the rates of taxation and charges for waste management services for the year 2025 be read a first and second time. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, bylaw 1759/25, being a bylaw to establish the rates of taxation and charges for waste management services for the year 2025. This constitutes first and second reading of bylaw 1759/25.
I need a motion. I need a motion for third and final reading of bylaw 1759/25. Moved by Councillor Coutu, seconded by Councillor Donovan, that bylaw 1759/25 be read a third and final time and passed. Are there any questions or concerns on the bylaw? I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, bylaw 175925, being a bylaw to establish the rates of taxation and charges for waste management services for the year 2025. This constitutes third and final reading of bylaw 175925, the second day of June 2025.
And just for the public's information, this year's waste charges are $235, up from last year's 2024 charges of $225. Okay, next bylaw, we have bylaw 1760/25, being a bylaw to authorize a development agreement with James W. LaPointe Motor Holdings Incorporated. I need a motion for the first and second reading of the bylaw. Moved by Councillor Roots, seconded by Deputy Mayor Sabrin, that bylaw 1760/25, being a bylaw to authorize a development agreement with James W. LaPointe Motor Holdings Incorporated, be read a first and second time. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, bylaw 176025, being a bylaw to authorize a development agreement with James W. LaPointe Motor Holdings, Inc. This constitutes first and second reading of bylaw 176025.
I need a motion for third and final reading of bylaw 1760/25. Moved by Councillor Carmody, seconded by Councillor Donovan, that bylaw 1760/25 be read a third and final time and passed. Any questions or concerns on the bylaw? I believe this is the one for the Black Bay, proposed subdivision in Black Bay. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, bylaw 176025, being a bylaw to authorize a development agreement with James W. LaPointe Motor Holdings, Inc. This constitutes third and final reading of bylaw 176025, the second day of June 2025.
Next, we have bylaw 1761/25, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 456/07 of the Corporation of the Town of Petawawa as amended. And I believe our Director of Planning, Melanie Shear, is going to give us a brief overview. Good evening, Melanie.
Good evening. Just to clarify, that last bylaw was related to the severances on Barron Canyon Road. Just to clarify that. This current bylaw is a zoning amendment for the lands we had a public meeting on last Monday. It's assembling land for a plan of subdivision, and this amendment puts the lands into a holding zone until the subdivision is approved. We did have one resident speak at the public meeting about wanting to be sure the Portage Landing Park was in place before this subdivision progressed. That's duly noted. We're looking into it as staff. Did not add it as a condition of removal of the holding symbol because the holding symbol is related to the lands to be developed, and those conditions are kind of on that developer. So it wouldn't be appropriate to put a park that we already own as a condition. But I outlined that in the report just to explain why that condition wasn't added, but it is noted, and like I say, we're looking into it as staff.
Thank you, Melanie. If you're comfortable, I need a motion for first and second reading of the bylaw. Moved by Councillor Roots, seconded by Councillor Carmody, that bylaw 1761/25, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 456/07 of the Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, as amended, be read a first and second time. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, bylaw 176125, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 45607 of the Corporation of the Town of Petawawa as amended. This constitutes first and second reading of bylaw 176125.
I need a motion for third and final reading of bylaw 1761/25. Moved by Deputy Mayor Sabrin, seconded by Councillor Coutu, that bylaw 1761/25 be read a third and final time and passed. Are there any questions or concerns on the bylaws? I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, bylaw 176125, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 45607 of the Corporation of the Town of Petawawa as amended. This constitutes third and final reading of bylaw 176125, the second day of June 2025.
Next up, we have bylaw 1762/25, being a bylaw for the conveyance of land owned by Joseph Peter Van Hoof and Linda Yvonne Van Hoof to the town of Petawawa. And once again, Melanie Shear, our Director of Planning, will provide a brief overview of the report.
So council was introduced to this file last month, I believe it was, earlier in May. Basically, the traveled portion of River Drive is across this privately owned land. It's been surveyed, so what this bylaw does is transfer that portion to the town and also then incorporate that portion of River Drive into the public highway system, the municipal road system. So this bylaw is authorizing the mayor and clerk to execute the transfer documents to bring that piece of land into town ownership.
Okay, thanks. If you're comfortable with that, I need a motion for first and second reading. Moved by Councillor Roots, seconded by Councillor Donovan, that bylaw 1762/25, being a bylaw for the conveyance of land owned by Joseph Peter Van Hoof and Linda Yvonne Van Hoof to the town of Petawawa, be read a first and second time. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, bylaw 1762/25, being a bylaw for the conveyance of land owned by Joseph Peter Van Hoof and Linda Yvonne Van Hoof to the town of Petawawa. This constitutes first and second reading of bylaw 1762/25.
I need a motion for third and final reading of bylaw 1762/25. Moved by Councillor Carmody, seconded by Councillor Coutu, that bylaw 1762/25 be read a third and final time and passed. Any questions or comments on the bylaw? It's nice to see all these little legacy issues getting cleaned up. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, bylaw 1762/25, being a bylaw for the conveyance of land owned by Joseph Peter Van Hoof and Linda Yvonne Van Hoof to the town of Petawawa. This constitutes third and final reading of bylaw 1762/25, the second day of June 2025.
Next up, we have correspondence. We have a letter concerning the National Accessibility Week in the town of Petawawa. Councillor Donovan, would you like to speak to this letter? It's nice to get some positive feedback.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, it is. So this was received by the PAC just prior to our launching of the week of celebration around accessibility. So it was great to receive. We also had an individual who visited from Southern Ontario based on information they found. And we've managed, Domino's reached out as well to offer their involvement as opposed to us asking them for it. So they came forward with that as well. So there's some marketing that we've been doing and kind of moving forward with. So it's good to see that it's had an effect and that it's moving along. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Donovan. Yeah, it's always great to hear some positive feedback about the town and all of the things we're doing. Are there any questions or comments on the letter that was received? We're all feeling a little bit better about ourselves right now. Okay, next we'll go to minutes. First up, we have the council and committee meeting minutes from May 26, 2025. I need a motion to approve those minutes. Moved by Councillor Coutu, seconded by Councillor Roots, that the minutes of the council and committee meeting held on May 26, 2025 be accepted by council, and that resolutions from that committee become resolutions of council. Are there any questions or concerns on the minutes? I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Next, we have Festival Hall Committee meeting minutes from February 13th, 2025. I need a motion to accept those minutes. Moved by Councillor Roots, seconded by Councillor Donovan, that the minutes of the Festival Hall Committee meeting held on February 13th, 2025 be adopted as information. Councillor Roots.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have spoken to yourself and the council about some of the happenings and events that are happening at Festival Hall and where we're heading. Something I do want to make a note of, and I want to send a communication out to the clerk here. You might see on letter number H, I'd like to have request a delegation to have Dorian Pierce, the Festival Hall manager, to come to our town council, have a little chat. It's been It's going into the 6-month term. He's getting settled in. He's definitely moving our whole facility and event process forward. So I think it's time to come up here and introduce him to everyone here, and a chance for council and yourself to ask some questions and to get to know him and to get a feel about the future vision of the Festival Hall. So that's what I'm going to be doing this week, and I'll send out a communication, see if we can get a time slot that we can have him at one of our meetings to communicate with us. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Sounds like a great idea. I'd love to meet him. Any questions or concerns about the Festival Hall minutes? Then I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Next, we have Petawawa Public Library Board meeting minutes of April 3rd, 2025 and April 17th, 2025. I need a motion to accept those minutes. Moved by Councillor Coutu, seconded by Councillor Carmody, that the minutes of the Petawawa Public Library Board meetings held on April 3rd, 2025 and April 17th, 2025 be adopted as information. Councillor Carmody.
Thank you, Mayor Service. So on Monday, April 3rd, of note on this library meeting, this was the last meeting that our previous CEO attended, Lisa Warbeck. So we bade her farewell at that meeting, as her last day of employment was April 5th, I believe. And of note at this meeting, we had Tammy Sylvester of Welsh LLP at the meeting to present our audited, a summary of our audit for the year. And I can report that everything is on the up and up. All the books were just fine at the library, and financially we're in good shape. Our meeting held on April 17th was a special meeting which I called to deal with some of our issues that we had with during our CEO search or our recruitment efforts to find a new CEO for the library. So basically it was just a closed meeting. And that was it. I will report further on the results of our CEO recruitment effort during my councillor report. So I'd be happy to answer any questions about these minutes.
Any questions about the library board meeting minutes? Okay, then I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Next, we have Petawawa OPP Detachment Board meetings of March 19th, 2025 and April 23rd, 2025. I need a motion to accept those minutes. Moved by Councillor Carmody, seconded by Deputy Mayor Sabrin, that the minutes of the Petawawa OPP Detachment Board meetings held on March 19th, 2025 and April 23rd, 2025 be adopted as information. Councillor Carmody.
Thank you, Mayor Service. So at our March meeting, we had a presentation by Graham Wright, and he is our police services advisor for Petawawa, for not only us, but for this region sort of thing, Eastern Ontario. And he came to our meeting and gave a presentation about the new CSBA and the implementation efforts, and we discussed what regulations were coming along and some of the regs that are not yet in place but will be. And so even though the act has been adopted, I guess you would say, some of the meat behind it is not yet in place. But that was an interesting discussion that we had with him. And at our meeting on April 23rd, we had a presentation regarding anti-rackets. And this was by John Armit, who is a 25-year veteran of the OPP and a longtime member of the anti-rackets fraud or anti-rackets division, I guess you would call it. And the presentation was all about frauds and trends and victim supports and the type of things that people are doing these days to defraud people of their money. And it's it's just outstanding. It was a really well done presentation, and we chatted for like an hour and a half. It was just very interesting, the type of things that people get up to defraud others of their money. However, I won't belabor this any longer. I'd be happy to answer questions on any of these minutes.
Questions on the Police Services Board meeting minutes? Just a quick question for you. Maybe you can bring this to the next board meeting. It's springtime and there's a lot of loud mufflers again out in the community. Just wondering when Operation Decibel is going to kick in again.
It's typically in August that Detective Neufeld would run that campaign. However, we're under new management now, so it could be advanced. We will definitely bring it up at our next meeting.
Thank you. Any further questions? Oh, Deputy Mayor Cyber.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just further to Councillor Carmody's report with respect to fraud, I think one of the messages that came loud and clear to myself, who was a member sitting around that table, was that if you are put in a situation where people demand money for some sort of crisis, take a breath, pause, make sure that you have the facts, make sure that you don't respond to the emotion, which is to immediately say, oh my gosh, I've got to be helpful. So just do your due diligence, and if it's really true, then they're going to wait for you as well. Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Some good advice. Okay, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Next up, we have staff reports. We'll start with LEG-06-2025. Contribution agreement to receive funding under the Rural Transit Solutions Fund, RTSF, within the Canada Public Transit Fund, CPTF. Colin, it's your report.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Service. I believe a similar report came back last year for requesting a similar resolution. I think I presented it on behalf of Public Works and Don Murkowski at the time. So again, this evening is a very similar report. The resolution is included in my report, which allows for the town to receive the formal contribution agreement in order to receive the funding under the Rural Transit Solutions Fund within the Canadian Public Transit Fund. So we're kind of cart before the horse, so to speak. Formality of this report is that we just need to pass that resolution. So some background, March 2025 staff received correspondence from the Ministry of Housing and Infrastructure and Communities approving in principle the town's grant application to receive the funding to conduct the transit needs assessment and feasibility study. A copy of that letter is attached to my report. And due to the federal election, the provisions of the contribution agreement have been delayed. So that's one of the reasons why they reached out and requested a resolution to hopefully pass this and get sped up here a little bit. So the financial implications are in my report. Council already approved $50,000 for the project to come from the federal government's grant, and then 15 to come from the town of Petawawa's reserve, and then a gift in kind from the Petawawa Public Library for the use of the meeting space to conduct the public consultation. I'd be happy to take any questions if council has any.
Okay, so this is all about us making the way to receive the $50,000 from the transit needs, or for the transit needs assessment and feasibility study. Okay, any questions on that? Do we have any idea of when that might take place?
I'm not off the top of my head. I can check with Chris and Don when they're back to see if they have a date, but I'm not aware of the exact date.
Okay, if you're comfortable with that, I need a motion. Moved by Councillor Roots, seconded by Councillor Carmody. Settle in, everybody. It's a long one. The council adopts the following resolution to receive a formal contribution agreement to receive funding under the Rural Transit Solutions Fund, RTSF, within the Canada Public Transit Fund, CPTF. Whereas Section 3.1 of the Municipal Act 2001 S.O.2001 C.25 as amended authorizes municipalities to enter into agreements with the Crown in right of Canada with respect to matters within the municipality's jurisdiction. And whereas the powers of a municipality shall be exercised by its council, and whereas a municipal power, including a municipality's capacity, rights, powers, and privileges, shall be exercised by bylaw unless the municipality is specifically authorized to do otherwise. Now therefore be it resolved that Council of the Corporation of the Town of Petawawa hereby authorizes the Mayor and the Clerk to enter into a contribution agreement with His Majesty the King in right of Canada, as represented by the Minister of Housing, Infrastructure and Communities Canada, to receive funding under the Rural Transit Solutions Fund, RTSF, within the Canada Public Transit Fund, CPTF, to conduct a transit needs assessment and feasibility study for the town of Petawawa. Be it further resolved that the Deputy Mayor is authorized to sign the contribution agreement in the absence of the Mayor, and that the Deputy Clerk is authorized to sign the contribution agreement in the absence of the Clerk. And that a copy of this resolution be provided to the Ministry of Housing, Infrastructure and Communities Canada so that a formal contribution agreement can be prepared for execution by municipal by law. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Okay, and we'll end the meeting off with our councillor reports. First up, Deputy Mayor Sabrin.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I neglected to remember that tonight was report night. So we've been up to a lot over the last couple of weeks, and I will report on that later. But 2 quick points of interest. The first is, as I was reading through the councillor report and the council meeting minutes and things like that on the weekend, I realized that we haven't seen our Seniors Advisory Committee meeting minutes. So those will be forthcoming at the earliest opportunity. We can let you know what we've been up to in terms of the group and what we're doing to represent our seniors and some of the initiatives. Second, just want to do a shout out that on June the 13th, the 3rd annual Pride event will be occurring at the Ken Hut at the town of Petawawa. There will be, back by popular demand, a number of events that have been successful. We have DJ Roxy, we have the photo booth, we have many of our tremendous business people who will be providing treats and things like that. But we also will have some very unique and additional activities that will ensure to engage our teens, ensure to engage families and whatnot. So please mark that on your calendar and make it a point to come out from 5 until 8 p.m. And Councillor Coutu may be adding to this as well. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Carmody.
Thank you, Mayor Service. I can report that on Friday, May 23rd, I attended the grand opening of the Flight Line business in town here, which is a dart club, I guess, with an electronic twist to it. It was quite fun. I encourage residents to get out and try it out. And on that same day, I attended the opening of Eva's Cafe in the Ultramar here in Petawawa, and some very good food there. I encourage residents to get out and try that as well. And on May 26th, I chaired a library board meeting. And on May 21st, I chaired a police services detachment board meeting. I almost said police services board. Bad. And yes, that's what I've been up to in the last couple of weeks.
Thank you. Councillor Coutu.
Thank you, Mayor Service. So on the 23rd of May, I too attended the opening of Flightline, the virtual dart bar and gallery, and I've since been back, and it was an excellent place for a day night. So hot tip. I also attended Eva's Cafe, where I had the best schnitzel of my life, hands down. So I've also been a frequent flyer there since it opened. And I also attended the National Accessibility Week event at the Container Market run by our Petawawa Accessibility Advisory Committee. It was an amazing event. We had people from the garrison attending, and as they have before, it's amazing to see how accessibility is an issue for everyone. So up on the garrison, they have their work cut out for them, but that, interaction between everyone working on this and pushing this forward, it's great to see the correspondence, but certainly those people at the event that day was excellent, and I managed to participate in the community quilt event, which was great. And I also attended the grand rebrand and opening for Portal on Petawawa Boulevard, which was an amazing experience. And kudos to the deputy mayor who tried the reformer and convinced me to sign up. So I've since been back as a client. And then I attended as well on May 26th, the library board meeting. And on May 28th, I chaired an equity, diversity, and inclusion advisory committee meeting. And I'll mention that in addition to what the deputy mayor has brought up for Pride, the container market on Friday night, the Friday night market, the vendors will be participating in a Pride theme event, and there will be a youth component as well, and another opportunity to be part of a community quilt event. So there'll be a community quilt at that time. And then we have a business, Prairie and Luna, who's running a Pride Walk. This will be Petawawa's first ever Pride Walk. So 4 p.m. at their location, they will be going up and down the multi-youth pathway starting about 4:30. And if you want to join them, their time to arrive right when the speeches start at the Kin Hut at Pride. So there's a lot of options coming up this month and ways to engage and participate in Pride Month. So I hope people do so and reach out to me. Go find my email online if you want to volunteer, because there's lots of work to do. So thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Donovan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to highlight again that we did host the National Accessibility Week. Very successful. Great shout out to the individuals involved with the committee and all the hard work that they put into making sure that week was successful. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Roots.
Nothing to report at this time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, CAO. Been busy. First, I'd like to thank Deputy Mayor Sabourin for representing the town on my behalf at the National Accessibility Week event at the Container Market, and as well for representing me at the rebranding of the portal. It looked like you had fun, so I'm a little sorry I missed that one. Okay, on the 21st of May, we had a meeting with the Petawawa Pantry. On the 23rd, I was also at the grand opening of the Flightline Darts, and as you said, what a great way to play darts. You don't have to do anything. You just throw them, it calculates your score, tells you where to throw it next, and you can also enjoy an adult beverage at the same time. What a great idea. Eva's Cafe as well, which is in the Ultramar in Petawawa. If you like pierogies, cabbage rolls, schnitzel, and homemade donuts with a dollop of homemade jam, I just picked up 2 more on the way home today. What a great place to go. So I hope everybody gets out and supports those 2 new businesses. On the 24th, I attended the container market and all the activities that are going on there. It's nice to see we added another container, and it was busy. So it's great to see that everybody's out supporting our container market. On the 26th, the CAO and I had a meeting, and as well our Director of Public Works, with the Ministry of Transportation of Ontario. And I must say it was a very eventful and productive meeting that we had with 6 individuals across the board from the Ministry of Transportation. The theme of that meeting was Petawawa and Highway 17 and our possible twinning of it, possible putting in of interchanges, and caution lights at all of the lit interchanges as well. We talked to them about doing the environmental studies that need to be done in order to twin the highway up here, as well as land acquisition. It was great to have Chris Mantha there as our Director of Public Works. He was able to talk to them about a lot of our increasing traffic flows and traffic patterns, especially regarding Black Bay Road and our new pits that are out there, and how that has increased our commercial truck traffic and all the complications that come with all of that. With us getting onto the highway, turning off the highway, traffic volumes, we know the Garrison has increased their manpower, CNL has increased their manpower, and I think it was very eye-opening for these 6 individuals from the Ministry of Transportation to learn all of the things that are going on in Petawawa, as well as the increase in housing and development that we have. They were very surprised to hear the breadth of the development that's happening in our town. And I think we convinced them that something needs to be done up here, which is good. And in the end, we have revived the 417 committee. We asked them to include a member from CNL and a member from the garrison as well. So it looks like the next time we meet, we'll have a more fulsome meeting with the larger group. So it looks like things are moving ahead, we hope. I don't think they're going to start paving the extra 4 lanes this summer, but we're moving in that direction. On the 27th, I was at the Renfrew County Elementary track meet. The 28th at the county D&P and operations meeting at the county council. On the 28th, there was a doctor recruitment dinner at Anthony's in Pembroke. There were 10 doctors, first-year med students, from Queen's University. So we had a chance to sit down with the CEO of the Pembroke Regional Hospital and a couple other mayors and speak to these individuals and extol them, the virtues of living in the valley and practicing medicine in the valley. It was interesting. There was one individual who was from Petawawa who apparently talked all of her friends into coming to Petawawa and the Pembroke Regional Hospital. But it was interesting to speak to the other 9 who were all from the GTA, who had never been to Petawawa, never heard of Petawawa. They were very interested to have a tour and drive around and see all that we have to offer. And I think we may have, if we convinced a few of them, I think that's great. But they were very surprised about how beautiful our community was and how nice it was. And just to let you know, there's another one in 2 days, and there'll be 16 students from the University of Ottawa, first-year med students. So we'll try and convince some of them to come to the valley. On the 30th, there was a change of command for 2 service battalion up on the base. On the 31st was the grand opening of the Great Ape outdoor store in the old Pepsi plant. What a great looking business they have, lots of good ideas and concepts, and I hope they do well. That evening was the 75th anniversary of the Royal Canadian Legion, Branch 517 in Petawawa. It was great to be there and wish them their best on the 75th. On the 1st, I participated in the first ever MyFM Spelling Bee at Festival Hall. It was actually filmed by your TV, and you won't recognize me. I'm the guy in the bee hat and the yellow glasses, if you're wondering who that guy was. Yeah, they hope it's the first of many to come. At the county this month, just a couple of highlights. The CEO of the Pembroke Regional, Sabine Mersman, was there, and she was summarizing the primary care team expansion proposal put forth by the Petawawa Centennial Family Health Center. If we're successful, we'll get funding for 2 more physicians, a full-time admin, and it'll really be helpful for Petawawa Centennial Family Health Center. Apparently the decisions are supposed to come down soon because it all has to be put in place and up and running by October. So we should find out soon if we're successful. The OVTA put on a presentation at the county, and one of the things they talked about was the new mat tax that Pembroke and Petawawa have implemented. As you know, we announced our first quarter check to them was $19,000, 50% of our 38 that we owned. I asked them what the plan is going forward to spend that money, because everything we give them must be spent promoting the town of Petawawa. They said at the moment they're going to collect it all for the 2025 year and then spend the money in 2026. The county has purchased 6.7 kilometers of the K&P trail that runs from the Renfrew County border north towards us. The county also announced that they received the $2.8 million from the province for the roundabout that's going in at Dorn and the Boulevard. So they have received their government funding, and now they have to come up with their 50%. And as I understand it, the engineering portion of that roundabout will take place this year, construction next year. Just an interesting note, they passed a bylaw to buy 2 plows with a spreader, and it cost $957,000 for 2 snow plows. So that's the reality of today's market for buying trucks for municipalities. So I know we have to get another one soon, and it's looking like it's going to cost $500,000 for a snow plow. They passed $150,000 in spending for new gates all along the Algonquin Trail for the whole length of it. They also passed the bylaw for ATVs on county roads in Petawawa. So that closes the loop now. Phase 3 is now in place, including the county roads that are allowed to have ATVs on it. Dorn Road is getting redone from Black Bay to the Boulevard. So that tender was awarded for $1.17 million for the paving from Black Bay all the way to the Boulevard on Dorn. Now that work should start soon. And finally, they supported a resolution to increase Ontario Works payments that have been frozen for the last 8 years. The Ontario Disability Support payments have gotten slowly increased over the years. So they've asked that the Ontario Works payments should match the Ontario Disability Support payments. It's kind of sad, really, when you think of all the inflation and increase in costs that we've had over the years, and that anybody who's accepting Ontario Works payments has been frozen for 8 years. It doesn't seem right. So that was a good one to support. Okay, we have nothing for closed. I need a motion to pass the confirming bylaw. Moved by Councillor Donovan, seconded by Councillor Roots, that bylaw 1763/25 be read a first, second, and third time and passed. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, bylaw 1763-25, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at its meeting held on June 2nd, 2025. This constitutes first, second, and third reading, short of bylaw 1763-25, the second day of June 2025.
Okay, just before I adjourn, just a reminder to all those watching that next week and for the month of June, rest of the month of June and July, town council meetings will be held at Silver Threads on Victoria Street, and it is open to the public. I need a motion to adjourn. Moved by Deputy Mayor Sabrin, seconded by Councillor Carmody, that the meeting adjourn to the call of the mayor. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.